Hello, welcome to Emma's ESL English. We are still in Workington. Sunshine, blue sky, so great. They tell me the summer's over. It felt like it last week, but this week, I don't know, I think it might be a lie. You may or may not be able to see, but I promise you it is out there. Out there is the Isle of Man. So it's very hazy today in the distance, and also it's weird. Depending on the sea and the tides, the Isle of Man appears and disappears. It's the most peculiar thing. So it's not very easy to see today, even for me, so I'm not sure that you'll be able to see, but I promise you, it's out there. We're continuing our readings about the sea. Today I'm reading from this book. This writer, Dara McAnulty, is one of the most exciting writers in the UK right now. I love him. He's 18 years old, he's autistic, and he is, as it says in the book, a naturalist, which means that he is mad about nature, really mad about nature. And you can find him on Twitter and Instagram, mostly on Twitter, I think, and he's a very, very active young person in terms of raising awareness about the environment and trying to keep the environment. I've got a dog walker coming, so I'm going to get embarrassed any minute now. So I'm going to read a little bit from this, and then we'll do just the same as we did yesterday. We'll talk about the vocabulary, we'll talk about what he's doing. Okay. We all head into the eddying wind, aiming for Merla Beach. It's raining when we get there, and the sky feels as if it's pressing against our heads. We usually walk the opposite way, but today we turn right towards the beach and walk over the slick boardwalk. When we reach the dunes, Blarned finds some dogfish egg cases, mermaids' purses, and a raven's feather. I find a kestrel feather and think back to the bird I saw here in the autumn. I stroke its strong, compacted form and put it carefully into my pocket. I've never found a kestrel feather before. As we walk down towards the shoreline, dunes on either side, the sea fret comes from nowhere and sucks up the horizon, so we can only see a single strip of waves, frothing and spewing. On the beach, the wind whips at our ankles and our faces, punches our stomach, as we run out to the waves, turning just in time to miss. Lorcan and Blorwood have found some dead seaweed and are whacking each other with it, giggling hysterically. I leave them to it and continue back up to the dunes. The mist envelopes me as I walk, curling up from the waves, smothering me in wispy tendrils. I can taste the salt and hear the crashing, but I can't see more than a few feet in front of me. I can feel the vastness of what I can't see and huddled down to take shelter by a perfect, intact dune. Okay, so let's look at some of the vocabulary. Eddying. Something that's coming and going is eddying. Slick boardwalk. Didn't realise how well I'd organised this. A boardwalk usually is a bit like a pier, something we can walk along, boards literally being the wooden bits along the top. But if something's slick, it means you're going to slip on it, you're going to fall on it very easily. Compacted, squashed down, but think about a feather, the way that each of the pieces of the feather are very close together and easily you can, slide them into piece together. So compacted. Dunes. Dunes are long hills of sand. We don't have them here because this is a very, very stony beach, as you can see. But when you get sandy beaches, the sand collects at the top in these sort of waves, and that's called sand dune. And quite often sand dunes that have been there for a long time can develop trees and grasslands and all sorts of things on it. Sea fret. Okay, so now we've got local UK English challenge. Sea fret is sea fog. It's very common around the coast of the UK for fog to come rolling in from the sea with almost no warning at all, and it can stay all day very easily, and it's lots of different names for it around the country. So obviously in Ireland, where he is, they call it sea fret. We can just call it sea fog, that works. We can call it sea roke. In the on the east coast it can be called sea roke, ha, and or haw. There's loads of variations around. And in the more northern areas, it could be called drich, but drich, it might be drich here. In Cumbria, my mum said drich, but I think drich is more like Scottish for depressing, dark weather. So that would be drich. Don't worry about it too much. Sea fog. Frothing and spewing. So froth is lots of bubbles, and spewing is something that's coming out or overflowing quickly. So you might be able to see behind me some of the water coming over some of the rocks here. So today it's not frothing and spewing because it's lovely weather. But if this was a horrible day, the waves would be coming up and frothing and spewing. Whacking. We had whacking yesterday. We had a whipping yesterday. That's right, we had whipping yesterday. So again, it's the same thing, hitting very hard. And he talks about his brother and sister giggling hysterically. So we do something hysterically, it means we're out of control. We can talk about a person being hysteric. Usually means they're screaming and shouting and but out of control. So in this case, they're giggling out of control. Smothering, when you can't breathe. So it's giving you the idea that it's difficult to breathe. Wispy tendrils. You can't see any clouds. There are clouds in the sky. None of them are wispy tendrils though. It can be a kind of cloud, but tendril is something long and thin, and wispy is something that's barely there, not really there. So it's coming down. Imagine that fog. If you're standing in fog or standing in a cloud, if any of you have been on an aeroplane going through a cloud, it's that kind of feeling that he's trying to get across. Vastness, vast, very, very big, enormous, which obviously the ocean, very, very big and enormous. But you have to imagine in this situation, you can't see any of that. So you know the ocean's there, you can hear the ocean, but you can't see it because the fog has come in so much, which happens. It really does happen. And he huddled by himself. Huddle usually means that we're all coming together. Penguins all huddle together. I think we've covered it in a previous podcast. In this case, he's huddling down. So it's that idea of like getting your coat, snuggling in and sitting down and trying to stay out of the wind and out of the weather. So this piece really is full of imagery. It's full of ideas and pictures of what he's seeing and feeling. Let's have a look at some of them. So the first one, the sky feels as if it's pressing against our heads. So that's that, we've got that low cloud coming and it really feels like it's a very low sky. The wind whips our ankles and our faces and punches our stomachs. Similar to yesterday. And really the day is very similar. It doesn't talk so much about rain coming down like it did yesterday, but the wind is very similar to yesterday's. But the writer is happy here. That's the big difference. Whereas Harry did not want to be there at all. In this case, Dara is happy to be there. He wants to be there with his family. So it gives us a completely different experience of the weather and of the situation. It's not dark and depressing and miserable, but it's still windy. Lochen and Blonid. The Blonid, by the way, Dara's whole family is named with Irish names. Blonid is spelled B-L-A-T-H-N-A-I-D. I'll write it on the blog. Irish names, mind-blowing. Cannot get my head around them at all. There's nothing logical, unless you know the language, there's nothing logical about the pronunciation of Irish names. So that spelling takes you to a pronunciation of Blonid, which is really hard for me to remember. So I think I pronounced it wrong while I was reading it. Lochen and Blonid have found some dead seaweed and are whacking each other with it, giggling hysterically. So there's a really clear picture of two kids running around on the beach, for fun, hitting each other with the seaweed and just having a great time. The mist envelops me. It's not harsh. He's not scared of the mist. He's not running away from the mist. It feels cozy and comfortable. I think the tide's coming in. I can feel the vastness of what I can't see and huddled down to take shelter by a perfect, intact dune. So again, completely different to yesterday. We're not cold, although he probably is. We're not miserable, although the weather isn't great. But instead he's comfortable, he's cozy, he's happy to be here. He's enjoying the day and the feeling of being there. Completely different. Okay, tomorrow we're reading this one. You knew you couldn't escape without Terry Pratchett, right? You knew it was going to happen. Okay. Any questions, you can email me, emmadslenglish@gmail.com. You can head over to the blog at emmadslenglish.com to get this written down. I am now very rapidly going to work up the beach, sit somewhere else, and let you see Scotland in tomorrow's video before I get a wet bum from the tide coming in. Okay, see you tomorrow. Bye.